Hi everyone, another video today for the cooking projects. Today is June 16th and it's a Friday, and I thought I'd show you how we go ahead and make some veggie burgers. We're plant-based, so what we do is we take a lot of the ingredients the best we can from our garden and then the rest from the grocery store. So I'll go with you step by step on how we do it, and I make a whole bunch so that we can go ahead and put in Ziploc bags and store it. And then for lunch, really easy, just pop it out of the freezer, microwave it, put the tomatoes and the lettuce and everything on top, and voila, lunchtime's all set. So I got some of the ingredients prepped a little bit here, so you're not watching me do all this forever, but I'll show you the steps on how we do that. This first step is beans. You can use kidney beans or black beans. This time I use black beans, and I have an Instapot. So the day before I do some of the prepping, and that would be, this was cooked in the Instapot. They were dried black beans from the bag from actually Wegmans. And then you just want to mash them a little bit. I mean, they don't have to be, super flat, but it just helps the burgers stay together. So it's best, I found, if you use a potato masher versus the food processor. And just a little muscle into there. And I'll tilt it a little so you can see the consistency, just so it all sticks nicely. And this is the type of recipe where you wash your hands first, and you're going to get all your fingers in there to make the burgers themselves. We also tend to have wraps instead of things on bread, and because of that, we make our burgers in the shape of kind of elongated, so it fills up the whole wrap. And kind of tap it on the side. So it all comes off. Great. Okay, everything gets in the sink and we wash later. I also make refried beans. Kevin likes those a lot. That I do in the slow cooker for the 8 hours. And beans come from our garden. They are the Red Runner Scarlet ones. They're really big beans, which is nice, and they have kind of little white dots on them. And their flowers are this beautiful scarlet color, and we have them on trellises. And birds always come, like a hummingbirds. Just come and are constantly feeding off of them. So it's kind of a pleasure because you feel I'm feeding the birds, I'm making the beans for us for later, and it looks really pretty on the trellis, so kind of multi-purpose in that. So I put that in a slow cooker with a bunch of spices and all, and then I freeze it and take it out when needed. So this is the refried beans that I had in the freezer warmed up, and we're going to add that to it. And that is another way of kind of keeping everything stuck together, because when we add the rice and the oats, it tends to want to fall apart then. So I just get this all out. And here's Hank, which I'm sure you would like to lick this, wouldn't you? All right, he's kind of my pre-wash for the dishwasher. I'm just going to put this over here for him. All right. We used to make the refried beans like super spicy and hot. I think they're kind of hot as there is, but Kevin likes it super hot. But we don't do that anymore because now I can't eat without drinking like a whole quart of water any of the food, because it is just has too much of the hot peppers in there. So this we do next, kind of mush everything together. So you do it in stages, mushing it together, otherwise it's kind of overwhelming if you put everything in at once without slowly adding each ingredient. So we got that in. All right, sink again. Next is oats. So these are the rolled oats. We get it from Amazon. I think trying to remember who it is. Oh, they're Quaker Oats, yes. And they're organic oats, so that kind of helps. And we'll add that to it. Give it a little mix up. No, you don't like this. You can go lay down now. Yeah. There you go. All right. So we have that in. And mix up here. The hardest thing to kind of break up is once we get to the rice, you really kind of have to get your fingers in there. All right. So I put the spices together in a jar or in this measuring cup just so I can mix them all together so it's a little easier to distribute through the bowl here. And this today consists of a half a cup of garlic powder, which is a lot, but we like garlic. And this comes from the garlic that we grow yearly in our garden, and then we dry it and grind it up and put it in jars and vacuum seal it for the year until the next batch comes in. So in here is garlic, a half a cup of onion powder, and a quarter of a cup of smoked paprika. There's a little bit of Mr. Dash no salt because I have the jar, so I just want to use it up. And we'll just kind of sprinkle this in and mix that up. You're going to watch me the whole time, aren't you? You know, you do get fed. There we go. Some people, like in the recipe I had, which I've had for a long time, they'll put like mustard and ketchup together, you know, in it. I've done that, it tastes great, but I did have a bunch of barbecue sauce from Wegmans, organic, so instead of mixing the ketchup and the mustard and everything together, it has a little more kick with this. So I'm just going to pour the whole bottle in. Okay. And that'll also help to kind of blend everything. And once I get to the rice part, we grow sweet potatoes in the garden and love sweet potatoes and sweet potato fries. It's super. And what I do is I'll end up making like a sweet potato fries just to preserve them, because I mean they last a long time in the root cellar. But then it gets to the point where you kind of have to use the freezers. So I go ahead and I make the fries and I kind of roast them, you know, in the oven, and put them in Ziploc bags and get them that way needed. So we started adding sweet potatoes to our burger recipe, and it's really great, and I have an excuse to use up the sweet potatoes. So in here, this is a Breville. Did I do that right? I think it is. Yes, Breville, because I always get them confused. One time I called it a Blendtec. And in here, I put all the sweet potatoes fries that I defrosted and blended them up to kind of make a paste. And then what we'll do is gently get the paste out and also add that to our recipe. And you can change it up any way you like. This is just things we have around here, and then we'll like experiment and go ahead and give it a whirl and say, oh, we didn't like that one, don't put that in next time. Oh, this tastes better, use this one. But it seems that Kevin and I both like this. And so does Hank when he licks the bowl. There we go. In the sink again. All right, so a little more mixing. And after that, we'll add the rice and kind of break it up. That's where I get my hands involved in here. So when we're cooking this, the recipe that I had, it said once you make, all your little patties, it's 350 degrees and you can do it for 15 minutes. But because I'm making so much of it and I just feel a little better if I cook it longer, I still do the 350 degrees, but I'll go ahead and go for a good half hour. All right, so we're getting, let me see if I can flip this upside down there. It's a little better. I'm gonna make it all so it's not all on one side. All right. Okay, so now I should probably take the wedding ring off. Okay, my other ring, stick on the side. I'm just going to get this out of our way a little bit here. There we go, that gives us a little more space. And I have one of those rice cookers that you just put in there 2 little cups of rice in the water and hit it, and in an hour and a half you have rice. So I did that also yesterday. So usually this is a 2-day job, kind of get the things that have to be cooked, like the beans or the refried beans or the rice done. So then it's more of a just put everything together, less stress. So I'll plop this on here and break it up the best we can with fingers. All right, let's put you over here. And this is the fun part. So we started going to the store mostly and buying their burgers, and they're great, and sometimes we still will go to Aldi's and buy the burgers if I've gotten slow and didn't make our veggie burgers. But when you look at the ingredients, there's a little more oil. We try and stay away from oil, and we try and stay away from excess salt. So when we're cooking things at home, we never put any salt in. And when we're like sauteing something, we just use the water. We don't put oil in. So that's a little easier on the body for them. So when we're having things from our garden and things that I can buy organically if possible from Wegmans or Amazon, and then put those together without the extra, preservatives and salt and sugars, I feel it's a little healthier and all. So we try and do that the best we can. It's kind of time consuming a little bit, but kind of once you get in the roll of it, and then when you're eating, you just feel like you're eating as healthy as possible. I mean, we love our doctor, but I'd rather not have to see him. So I think eating well is a good thing. So kind of have this mixed up. It looks like there's rice in every bit part of this, and the sweet potatoes are not on one side, so that's good. All right. So just kind of pat it down, and let's see, who's over here? Reading glasses. So what I have is these little trays, and I got the silicone sheets because that just seemed to work better than the parchment paper. And usually I have to use 3 of these. Once in a while 4, but usually it seems like 3. So let's see what we can do here. So I kind of pick it up just some hand size amount, push it around, kind of pat it, kind of encouraging it to go ahead and stick together, and work it into an elongated piece. All right, and place it on here and move to the next one. So maybe we'll put it on a time lapse, or then we can speed it up when he puts this on the film there. And we can go ahead and get our trays loaded, see if it's 3 trays or 4 trays. And again, it is 350 degrees baking, and for 30 minutes is what we do. All right, here we go. All right, it's at 315 degrees, so we get to 350. We'll place them in the oven for a half an hour, and during that half an hour, I'll be cleaning up the kitchen. Hank will be lifting the bowl. Timmy's helping, and then what we'll do is I'll take them out and I'll get ready for lunch. So I'll show you how we put the wraps together. All right, I'll see you after they're cooked. All right, the timer just went off in the oven. So let's see what we got, and I'll just show you how we put our lunch together. Okay, nice thick mittens here. All right. So I'll just get one of the trays out. I'm going to let them cool, the rest of them, and we'll have them put in the Ziploc bags to preserve and freeze. So once you get it out, what we usually have is a wrap with some vegan cheese on it, and then we put a little bit of hot sauce. This is actually hot sauce that we had made from our jalapenos and then canned. So instead of buying like the sriracha from the store, we just go ahead and make our own. And this is actually over a year old, and it still tastes delicious. So that goes on top. And I'm just going to rinse this a little bit, because we're going to reuse it over here for the Thousand Island dressing. Okay, let's find a spatula. Here we go. So get one of these out, kind of mush it to the end. Space, this is Kevin's because he always gets the bigger one. Here we go. And I'll pick a smaller one for me. Alrighty. Kind of place that out to the end. See, it's better if I make them elongated versus, circular. Then I don't have to cut the circles in half and try and, coerce them to fit on the wrap. No. Okay, so we'll save the spatula. You know what I think? I think I'll put this back in the oven just so it's off the counter while it's cooling for 5 hours. Okie dokie. So the next step is to go ahead and put some tomatoes on. So these tomatoes are San Marzano, and we grew them in our garden last year, and I put them through that food processor that we use today on the sweet potatoes, but I had the slicer on and made nice little slices of them, put them in a small like sandwich freezer Ziploc bag, and we kept them on, been eating them all winter because it's probably going to be another 2 months, maybe a little less, before I can start picking our tomatoes. They're still very small, the plants are. And so I place a lot on here.
Something went wrong. Try again in a few seconds.
Okay. All right, there's Kevin's. And mine. And more tank is begging because no one ever feeds him. There you go. Alright, so we got that part. Okay, so we're done with that. We're done with this. The next is the Thousand Island dressing, which we also make. It is made of extra firm organic tofu and a little ketchup and like probably 2/3 cup of ketchup and 2/3 cup of dill relish, which I get at Wegmans and it's organic. And then we get the non-GMO tofu also, and put it in our blender. So that's a blend tech. For like 6 seconds, and then put it in the refrigerator, and it tastes delicious. I usually make sure that it is in the refrigerator for a couple hours because it firms up. You know, like if I'm going to be using it for lunch, I make sure that if I ran out and have to make some, that I go ahead and get it cooled off so it sets better. So a little bit of that. Okay. And the last part is some kind of leafy green. So this is kale. This is the premier kale I picked from the garden. And we also sometimes will make like a topping, we call it, especially in the winter. It consists of kale and mushrooms, lots of herbs in there too, and some like sesame seeds. And then we'll put that on top. But I like in the summer just to have something that, you know, didn't come out of the freezer, that came out of the garden, and it's nice and fresh. So kind of break it into a little more pieces when I place it on here. And there we go. And more for Kevin, one more for me. Okay. And then I just go ahead and wrap it up a bit. Kevin likes his warmed a little so the leaves are just a little softer. So I put his in for just a tad longer. I prefer things colder, like the oatmeal. Kevin likes it warmed up. I like it cold, but that all looks just fine. So I'm just going to put it in for 22 seconds and then we'll be all ready. So I guess I better go find Kevin so he knows it's lunchtime. Well, it's great working with you guys today. You have a joyous day. Take care. Love and joy, and I will see you soon. If you like this, thumbs up. And if you like to subscribe, that'd be super. Bye-bye now.